What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Mike and Ant. We are your hosts, Mike and Ant, and we did have a special guest, but he ran away in the background. But Mike was good.
Chilling, man. You noticed that he knew right when the camera went on.
Yeah,
Bounce. Slick little
time.
shit. Was over here trying to beg for some food. Cats are way too smart, man. But let's get to this combine and this Johnny Manziel lookalike behind us.
Yes, we got the Latino Johnny Manziel. He is
Hmm.
going to be the number one pick, but the Raiders GM said something pretty interesting this week, and that is that their plan is to have Mendoza sit for his rookie year, and they're thinking about running it back with Gino and just have Mendoza sit and learn for a year. So if the Raiders do that, like, what are your thoughts on that? You think it's a good idea, or should they just throw him into the fire right away?
Um, well, the thought of it is a good idea. In a perfect world, I think all these guys should sit for like 1 year, or at least majority of it, and learn. Just be able to learn. Typically, having a good quarterback in front of them, but in this situation, man, come on, bro. It don't not you, but listen, Vegas, don't feed Mike and Ant that bullshit, cause we not falling for it. There's nothing this kid could learn from Geno Smith outside of throwing interceptions. So there's no way in God's green earth that if Geno does anything besides start like 4 or 5-0, Mendoza will be starting by game 5 or 6.
See, that's what I was thinking too, because like in theory it sounds good, but we heard the same shit from the Giants last year. Oh, we're gonna have Jackson Dart sit his rookie year,
Didn't we
have him
call that
learn
one
from Russell
already?
Wilson.
Remember we
That
called it?
lasted 4 games.
I think our over under was like 4 to 8 games. I think we said 6, but
Yeah.
you knew there was no way that Russ was gonna last there. No matter what he did, it's just one of those things where it doesn't really matter what you do if you're not winning. Even if your stats are great, they're gonna go with the new kid for a fresh start. They just they're gonna.
Well, yeah, and then not only that, if Gino plays anything like he did last year, you already know those fans in Vegas gonna be chanting for Mendoza.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think we're gonna find out very quick if this kid got it or not. Um, because it's Vegas is now the Raiders we're talking basically a big market, right?
Yeah,
Or at
yeah,
least
they're in Vegas. Yeah.
yeah, big market. Um, the Tom Brady looking over your shoulder. Being that
That's who he should be learning from, not Gino.
yeah, for real. The pressure of being the number one pick, going to a big city or a big fan base in general, because the Raiders have fans in a lot of places outside of Vegas. So going to the Raiders, Tom Brady, number one pick. This is a lot. So if he can go in there and just not fold under pressure, I think we'll learn a lot about this kid. But he'll be in by game 5.
Yeah, I mean, if we could do the over under, I'm taking the under
Yeah,
because the way Gino was playing last year, if he plays that way again, I don't think he makes it past the
I'm
second half of game two.
I'm gonna say somewhere between the third and fourth game, we get Mendoza for the second half, and he keeps the job the next week. So I'm gonna go on a limb and say game 3. No, I give him an extra week. Game 4, we get at least 1 quarter of Mendoza. In game 5, he's the starting quarterback.
Yeah, I'm going. Gino gets benched the second half of game two, and by
Damn,
the third game of the season, Mendoza's the starter.
damn, no wiggle room. I
No,
like it. Bold, bold. Well, I ask you this: does Gino get traded or released at that point?
he probably gets released because like who's trading for Geno Smith?
I mean, for like a 6th round, if somebody goes through some desperation and injury aside, maybe the Vikings.
I mean, if I'm
Hold
the
my beer.
Vikings, I'm no, but if I'm the Vikings, I'm looking to trade for either Kyler or Tua. I'd rather have one of them, or even Mac Jones. I'd
Yeah,
rather have one of those three than Geno.
I'd
Another
rather have
thing too,
Jay.
Geno's about to be 36 years old, so it's not like you can really build off of him.
I'd rather run back out there with JJ and Wentz than bring in Gino.
Yeah, I mean, I'll even go that route, but I'm just saying if Minnesota's gonna try to get a quarterback this year, I'm either making a trade for I'm really trying to make a trade for Mac Jones because it's cheaper. With Kyler and Tua, you still gotta pay them 50 million unless it's like a trade that Denver did with Pittsburgh where Denver traded Russell Wilson to Pittsburgh, but Denver still had to pay that salary. So
Yeah,
Pittsburgh pretty much got him for free.
I don't think there's no way Shanahan gives Mac Jones away. Not for, I mean, if you overpaid him, I could see it. But if somebody expects him to give away Mac Jones for like a late round pick, I don't see it happening.
Well, if you're the Niners, what are you taking for Mac Jones?
I mean, if I'm the Niners, I want a second minimum. He's a starting quarterback. You know what I'm saying? And even wouldn't surprise me, and I don't think you'd get it. But if you asked for a first, it wouldn't surprise me. It's a starting caliber quarterback, if that's the way you feel. Which we know there's not really no price for a quarterback. Second thing, if you believe you've been groomed by Shanahan the right way the past couple, why he's been there, um, and you need a quarterback and he fits your system, I could see them asking for a first and getting a second at the absolute lowest I think they should go would be a high third. And if you're giving me a third, I might want a player as well or a second pick.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And also too, Mac Jones is young. He's only like 26.
Could give you
So
10
he could
years.
actually be if you play your cards right, he could be your franchise quarterback. He's still young enough.
Yep. And that's what
One
I'm
thing I
looking.
will say about Mac Jones though is that he showed us this past year when he started 8 games for the Niners when Brock Purdy had the turf toe that he plays really well in that West Coast offense.
Yep.
He was having even though it was only 8 games, he was having by far the best year of his career.
Yep.
Um, and so if I'm if I'm Mac Jones and I do get traded, I want to get traded to a team that plays that West Coast system where I
Yep.
know I can flourish and be good.
Yep.
And that's what I don't understand about some of these NFL teams. Is like instead of trying to fit the player into your system, why not build a system around your player?
Yeah.
So, like in New England, for example, seeing how well Mac Jones plays within the West Coast offense, why not just change your offense to a West Coast system instead of what Belichick was doing by having Matt Patricia or whatever being his offensive coordinator?
They was the Patriots were especially under Belichick. They were stubborn. They wasn't going to change anything. But I think if Mac Jones goes to the right situation, I think he could have a really good career. If he goes to the wrong situation, he might be back on the bench before the end of next year. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I would just tell him to choose wisely.
But I will say this is such a because the draft is such a weak quarterback draft.
Mhm.
It's really just one guy, Mendoza, and that's it. And it kind of reminds me of the draft. I think that was 2022, the Kenny Pickett draft, where everybody said that there's only one good quarterback. That was Kenny Pickett. The Niners got lucky; they got Brock Purdy in the 7th round. So far he's been the best quarterback of that draft,
By far.
even better than Kenny Pick so far. So this draft reminds me of, and they could be a Brock Purdy in this draft, a guy that gets drafted in a later round and comes out of nowhere and has success. But right now, it just looks like it's Mendoza, and
Have you got
because of that, you have a lot of teams who need quarterbacks that might take a chance. Arizona's getting rid of Kyler, so who's going to
yeah,
trade for him? Miami's going to get rid of Tua, so who's going to trade for Tua? But also, too, if you're Miami and Arizona, who are you replacing these players with? Because there's no quarterback really to draft in the top round, so you might have to either get a free agent. I mean, Arizona could just run it back with Jacoby Brissett. He played well enough last year, and then maybe just draft a quarterback next year. We'll see what they do. So you have teams who need quarterbacks, and what they're gonna do? Are they gonna trade for a Mac Jones? Trade for a Tua? We saw Atlanta. They decided to get rid of Kirk Cousins. No, Matt Ryan wasn't playing. Matt Ryan said, "F the salary cap. We're cutting them anyway." Because the
yeah.
old GM was like, "Well, we can't. We got to keep him because nobody wants him." Matt Ryan's like, "Well, we don't want him. Nobody else wants him, so we getting rid of him."
Uh,
and they're gonna run it back with Michael Penix. The only thing that scares about Michael Penix, so he's torn that same ACL 3 times now.
yeah.
So I don't know what kinda version we're gonna get from him from moving forward. But all these teams that need quarterbacks, so and also too Pittsburgh, I forgot about them. Aaron Rodgers hasn't made a decision yet if he's gonna retire or not. But even if Aaron Rodgers does not come back, I mean, does not retire, he's still 42 years old, so he's not your future. So for
Yeah.
these teams that need quarterbacks, like, what do you think they should do since this is a weak, quarterback draft?
Um, I guess what I would say is if there's I wouldn't reach on a quarterback and pay a quarterback you don't think is really like don't do something out of desperation, first of all. So if you don't see anything in free agency that you like, for teams like Arizona, I'm riding out with Jacoby Brissett. I'll just give you an example because that's one team. I'm riding out with Brissett. Trying to load my team up with talent in early rounds, and I'm throwing a dot at a quarterback that I like his traits that'll probably be sitting there late in the draft, and I'm gonna see if I could develop him over the next few years. And maybe, I mean, maybe if in a perfect world, next year you can go and get your guy. But maybe, like I said, in a perfect world, you hit on a third or fourth round pick, and develop a guy into a superstar, you know? How will you feel about Ty Simpson?
We were just talking about this with Anthony Richardson, and this is why I'm not huge on Ty Simpson.
Yeah,
He's only started 1 year, and
yeah,
so, yeah, he was good last year, don't get me wrong, but history tells me that you only start 1 year of college, you're gonna be a bust. We've seen it with Anthony Richardson, we saw it with Mitch Trubisky, we've seen it with Mark Sanchez. I mean, the list goes on and on. So that's the only thing that would scare me of taking a Ty Simpson. Now, if I'm Pittsburgh, I might look at him only because, let's say Aaron Rodgers does come back,
yeah,
he can sit and learn from Aaron Rodgers for a year, and then we could play him next year.
yeah,
But also too, the NFL, they're I won't say a tricky situation, but next year's draft class is supposed to be very quarterback heavy.
yeah,
A lot of the quarterbacks in next year's draft, they thought they're going to come out in this year's draft, but all of them decided to stay in school. And I think that a lot of that has to do with NIL because they're getting paid. So it's
yeah,
like, do I really want to come out now and have to play for like the Jets or the Raiders or whatever? But next year they have no more eligibility. So next year they're all coming out.
yeah,
And so it's the same thing we're talking about with the basketball. If you're some of these teams like Miami or Arizona, like Miami, for example, okay, you're trying to get rid of Tua. You could just run it back with Quinn Ewers, even though he didn't really look good last year as a rookie. You
yeah,
could run it back with him, and then let's say next year you're picking in the top 5 again or top 10, you can get one of these quarterbacks, whether it's Arch Manning, Julian Sand, Dante Moore. I can't think of his name, but the kid from Oklahoma, like they're all supposed to be really, really good. And so that's another thing for some of these teams is we could just sit it out with mediocre quarterbacks and then get our guy next year, and it was supposed to be like a really deep draft for quarterbacks.
Well, I my next question would be this. You're drafting. What because the reason why I brought up Ty Simpson is because I think he's the one that has potential. Like
Yeah, they're
like
they're saying he's probably the second best quarterback in this draft.
yeah, but hasn't played enough to know for sure. But
Yeah.
potential traits, skill set, things like that, I do like that. I do see why some teams could fall in love with, depending on the interview with him. As far as his traits, I could see teams falling in love with that. But my question for you would be this: you're sitting on you got picks. I don't care what round, what pick it is. What I want to know is where would you be comfortable taking Ty Simpson at? Would you be comfortable? Just give you an examples. Would you be comfortable taking him at pick 32 in the first round? So you got a fifth year option, which a lot of teams do value. Or would you prefer to let him slip to maybe the end of the second, third, or beyond before you would pick him?
Um, like I said, I think it depends on where we're at as a team. So, like for example, if I am the LA Rams, for
Yeah,
example, I wouldn't mind taking them at pick 30.
Yeah.
because at 30 we can just have him sit, learn from Matthew Stafford for maybe a year or two, however long Matthew Stafford wants to play,
Yeah.
get him that experience, get him up to speed with the NFL game, and then whenever Matthew Stafford retires, then we can go ahead and throw him in there. Pittsburgh's another team. Aaron Rodgers hasn't made a decision yet,
So
but
you're
from what
comfortable
I've
end of the end of the first if you do have the quarterback for him to sit behind.
yeah, so
Gotcha.
that's where I'll take him. If not, he's probably I'll probably say maybe second or third round. But I know this is I'm gonna go off topic real quick, but this is what I don't understand about college. So Ty Simpson, he was Jalen, what's his name? Jalen Milrow, the Seattle quarterback. He was behind him for all these years, and he went in the third round. But you're telling me Ty Simpson's better than him, and he could potentially be a first round pick. Same thing with Dante Moore in Oregon. He was Dylan Gabriel's backup. And I'm being told that Dante Moore could be the third best quarterback in next year's draft, but you had him sit behind Dylan Gabriel. We saw Dylan Gabriel last year as a rookie, wasn't very good. Arch
Yeah.
Manning, same thing. He might be the best quarterback in college right now. He was sitting behind Quinn Ewers, who was ass as a rookie too.
Not
So
good.
I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand how like in college, like you have these great quarterbacks just sitting behind bums. I don't get it.
Think I think sometimes these coaches have like maybe like a little bit of sense of loyalty, or maybe the program makes a decision on what they want to do. I'm pretty sure the Ewers thing had to do with loyalty. Um, there's no
Right.
other reason.
He's a senior or whatever, and Arch is a freshman, so we gotta let him play.
But also, then again, to be fair, this year was a roller coaster with Arch. So I could imagine what he would have looked like last year if he started. It probably wouldn't have been good.
Yeah,
So,
I will say for Archie, he struggled in the first half of the season, and
I
then the
mean,
second half of the season, we started to see why people thought he might be the number one pick.
yeah, and but that's what I mean. What do you think he would have looked like last year?
Yeah, probably.
Like not last year, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
The year
I know what you
previous
mean.
to that. So I think sometimes people think things are maybe a little maybe easier cut out than they actually are. Doesn't mean that the kid that was behind Dylan Gabriel didn't end up being better than Dylan Gabriel. Might just mean at that time it wouldn't have worked. You know,
But yeah,
so
'cause I was watching Dante Moore, the quarterback at Oregon during the playoffs,
yeah.
and I'm just watching him like, how the hell did he? Why the hell was he sitting behind Dylan Gabriel? Like I've seen Dylan Gabriel in the NFL,
Told
and
you
I'm
Dylan
watching this
Gabriel.
kid.
It looks like it hurts when he throws.
Yeah, it does, and I'm watching this kid at Oregon. I'm like, why was he Dylan Gabriel's backup? He should have been starting last
uh,
year.
And that's all I think. Maybe it's just like a little bit of growing up to do. Maybe it has something to do with focusing on academics. I don't know. But sometimes I think that I mean, there's times where you blatantly see the better person gets benched. So I don't know. I seen it happen to Tom Brady in Michigan, and he kept taking the job back. It literally didn't make no sense how bad they tried to bench him. Right?
Yeah, and then they benched him for a guy who didn't even go to the NFL. He ended up playing professional baseball.
Yeah. So you see what I'm trying to say here. So sometimes it might just be a bad decision somewhere abroad in the unit, but um, I don't know. But I think that I'll just say this. I definitely would rather have Ty Simpson than Dylan Gabriel. I know he wasn't his backup, but I'm just saying right now, if these
Yeah.
are our metrics, I will gladly take Ty Simpson in the second over Dylan Gabriel in the third any day of the week.
Well, no, I just brought it up because like Ty Simpson was Jalen Milroe's backup in
Yep.
Alabama, and I was like,
Uh,
okay, Milroe, they're telling me he's only good enough to go in the third round, and
mhm.
right now he's the third string quarterback for the Seahawks. But yet his backup plays 1 year, and we're being told that he might go late in the first round. So it's like,
And it's crazy
no, it
because
don't make sense.
I think Jalen Milroe can be special. He just unfortunately isn't in the right situation. I mean, like he's reminds me a lot of Jalen Hurts, and obviously that doesn't mean much. But Jalen Hurts is at least like a top 15 guy. So I mean, I would.
I don't know, not according to his teammates.
Well, doesn't mean I mean, doesn't mean they like him. Not telling you they gotta like him. You know what I'm saying? He might be a top. he might be number 14, somewhere 10 through 14 in the league, maybe top 10 if you really put the list together. But I think his ego, he thinks he might be number one, and I think that might be where the problem is.
I don't know. I just know you can't have 70 yards of total offense for a half against a team playing practice squad players on defense,
But your man got like
and you
seven.
get shut out.
Your man got like 7 quarters just this year alone with no completions. It's like,
Yeah, yeah. Like he
yeah,
played like the whole entire against the game against Buffalo, the
yeah,
whole second half, no completions.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then people wonder why AJ Brown is over there complaining.
Like he
You
had
be
nothing
bitching
but
complaining too when you
quarters,
ain't
3 quarters. He had no completions. So it's like, oh my bad, bro. You
yeah,
know what I'm
but
saying?
but
So,
but AJ Brown's the problem. That's why they gotta get rid of him.
and no wide receiver wants to play there, bro. When
No.
AJ Brown gets traded, you're gonna see that Devonta Smith's gonna pull the Jalen Waddle. Me next. To
Devontae
crickets.
Smith Devontae Smith is like, "This is why we bench his ass for Tua in college." They
Yeah,
all played at Alabama together.
yeah. I know, and this is what I'm trying to tell you. Like,
Devontae Smith's like, "My
only
numbers are better with Tua than it was with Jalen."
yeah, because one of them is an actual quarterback. You know what I'm saying that's the thing. The other one's more special, more as an athlete, more of an athlete than a quarterback. The other one
Yeah.
has no athleticism in his body, but he's a good quarterback if you can keep him upright. No matter how much shit people give him, he got an arm. Like I've seen him. You know, Tyreek Hill go for almost 2,000 yards with him. I've seen him throw when everybody said he couldn't throw deep. I've seen him do that. Problem is, his body fails him, and I feel like his confidence is down, and now he's just been looking like shit. But I don't think that doesn't really change the fact that I think he could have been a good quarterback. Doesn't mean he will be, but I think had he went to the right situation, he would have looked a lot better right now.
Well, I think Tua's probably the one quarterback I could see have like a Sam Darnold turnaround if he's put in the right situation. 'Cause like you said, unlike Sam Darnold, when he's with the Jets and with the Panthers, we didn't see it. But with
Mhm.
Tua, we've seen it. So
Yeah,
it's just all about putting him in the right situation. And like you said, I think too, his confidence is shot.
yeah, it's destroyed. You know what I'm saying? Not only is he worrying about getting concussions, but he's one of the most beat up NFL players when it comes to like media, like whether it's TV, social media. Like he's one of the most, you know, brought up and destroyed players. I think probably in all leagues right now.
Well, I
He,
remember during the season he brought up about like, players not coming to meetings and
yeah,
coaches not doing nothing about it.
and he
And then
said
the
nothing
very
wrong.
next game, he got sacked like 6 or 7 times. Like his own teammates like, "No, this is what you get for snitching. We're gonna not even gonna block for you."
Yeah, but really, he was supposed to be their captain. You're supposed to call that shit out. And if he called that out on a live mic in a press con, or but when you're getting interviewed after the game, at the post after the
Yeah,
game, then you know that he's probably already said this in the locker room.
yeah,
Like you don't skip that and go there. It's like I done said this shit 13 times. Stop. This is what's happening. And he said it frustrated. You know what I'm saying? But I'm pretty sure this has been brought up in the locker room way before he outed you on the live mic. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't mad at Tua for that. If anything, they should have looked in the mirror and played better.
well, sticking to Tua real quickly, who do you think should trade for him?
I think he should go to Minnesota.
I agree.
I like him in Minnesota. I don't know what they're gonna do with running back. I think they just said that they're gonna get rid of Aaron Jones, but I think that if you can protect him and get him with Justin Jefferson, Hawkinson, Addison, and get him. I know that they still got the young kid they signed from the 49ers last year, which I am still kind of high on him, but I still
Yeah, I
feel
think that, Jordan Mason, I think that's the reason why they're getting rid of Aaron Jones.
yeah, because they signed him for like 2 to 3 years. But I still think that they need something else. But I think that didn't work because they're kind of similar. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think they need maybe a running back with a little bit more juice and less wear and tear in the legs than Aaron Jones has right now. But I think Tua would be a good fit over there if they could protect him.
Yeah, I agree. That's one of the teams actually I thought would make a trip to. I nobody's talking about this, but Miami and Arizona, they can actually solve both of their problems just by trading Tua and Kyler Murray for each other. That they
Yeah,
both make the same money, so the contracts will work out. I just
tell
don't
you.
know if Arizona wants Tua or
Yeah,
if
see, the
Miami wants
crazy
Kyler.
thing, if they did do that, I don't know about what Kyler would look like in Miami, especially with a lot of things walking out the door.
Mhm.
But Tua being able to go over there, I bet you Marvin Harrison Jr. and Michael Wilson would be happy. Like I
Yeah, it's
guarantee,
amazing. It's amazing how better both of them played when Jacoby Brissett took over as quarterback.
because you just need someone that can give you a little bit of competent quarterback play. You see what I'm saying? So if you ever, and then that's not even mentioning he'd have Trey McBride. They got a decent running game. Um, that might be a great landing spot for him.
Yeah, I don't know if Miami would want to make that trade, but I would say like both of them could help each other out because they're both trying to get rid of their quarterbacks. Their quarterbacks make the same amount of money, so the contracts work out. But as you were saying, though, it looks like Miami they're going full rebuild. They're trying to blow that thing up.
Yeah,
They're
it
cutting
looks like
players left and right.
it, it definitely looks like they're gonna blow that up. Another sneaky team that I wouldn't mind seeing Tua on, and this isn't a team that I'm sure that it would work out. But if the Jets don't do anything dumb and they keep Garrett Wilson and they decide to keep Brees Hall and they could fix their O line and maybe bring in like another wide receiver, and then now they got extra first round picks from the Sauce trade. I think Tua might be able to do something in New York too. It's just does he have thick enough skin to play there? Because they might have a team that's a little bit closer than people think.
Yeah, I just don't see Miami trading them in division though.
No, but I'm saying if you ever got released,
Oh yeah, yeah.
if they ever bit the bullet and released him, I could see him going to the Jets to stick it to the Dolphins.
I can see that too. Yeah, the Jets are interesting because they have a lot of draft capital, so they can make a lot of moves.
Yeah, exactly. And then they have a few core pieces there. As long as they don't do anything dumb with Brees Hall, they got the running
Well,
back.
Brees Hall keeps saying he wants to be traded, but the Jets saying we're not trading you. So something's got to give over there.
Yeah, I mean, either they're gonna have to say a dollar amount that changes his mind, the Miles Garrett effect, or they're gonna have to give in. But I'm just looking. If I'm the Jets, you're you're not far enough away to go blow this up. Like I don't think the Sauce move was a blow up move. I think that's two first round picks, and we don't want to.
Well, they also got 2 first-round picks for Quentin Williams.
Yeah, I know, and I think that was more about what Leslie did when he said, "I don't want to rebuild. I want to retool."
Mhm.
So, you have some pieces on offense. Even after all those trades, you got some great pieces up front, right? If you can bring in like say a Bain Jr., um, obviously probably the top edge rusher in the draft, grab maybe a corner later in the draft or maybe someone in free agency, get some skill position players and bring in like a Tua. I think the Jets they're closer to making a playoff run than I would think they are to having to rebuild just because what they got. You see what I'm saying? So I think they just got a draft right.
Yeah, I agree, and defensive guys, it still blows my mind they became the first team in NFL history
Oh my
to go a
god.
whole season without an interception.
Well,
Like,
they
you
got a
would think they
record.
at least got, like, a tip ball or something.
They broke a record, bro. I'm saying, come on, just appreciate greatness. You know what I'm saying?
It's a record that would never get broken.
Even in defeat and failure, they found greatness, bro. It's going right next to the butt fumble.
Only the Jets.
Only the fucking Jets. Jets, 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 Jets.
And then what's
Um,
even worse is that your head coach was a former DB, and y'all still
yeah,
couldn't get an interception.
yep, yep. Aaron Glenn, man. Should be ashamed of your goddamn self, man. Played he was actually a good cornerback for the Jets too. You
Yeah.
could get one of your guys to pick. Should have stole a jersey and a helmet, man. Give y'all one, man. Shouldn't have took that record like that laying down. But I'm falling asleep now though. So is there anything you wanna work at or anything you wanna bring up before we get off here?
Well, I guess breaking news, but David Montgomery, he wants to be traded from the line.
I seen that. I'm thinking that my top fit for him is assuming Seattle don't change their mind last minute, but it looks like they're not going to give Kenneth Walker the number he wants, which I'm assuming is probably 16 to 18 million, maybe even more, because Super Bowl MVP and
I was like, he's a
Barkley.
Super Bowl MVP, so now that price tag goes up.
And Barkley, I think, gets 20 million a year after the Eagles upped his contract. So, not saying I would give it to him, but if he asked for 18 million, I wouldn't be surprised. Especially the fact that Seattle already announced that they're not going to be able to make come to an agreement, and they're going to let him test free agency. So, my guess is if they can't come to an offer with him, Seattle's the one that makes the trade to bring in David Montgomery because I think he fits what they do perfect. I think he's a similar running back too.
To me, he fits what they do perfect in Detroit. And you and I, we talked about it in the season. For whatever reason, when Dan Campbell took over play calling, he just stopped using them. I don't know
Yep.
why.
And that's David
I
Montgomery, I
wonder,
think at
I
this
wonder if that's
point.
the reason why he wants to be traded.
Yeah, I think 2 reasons. I think he knows there's not 32 better or 31 better running backs than him in the NFL. I think he wants a chance to start. With Charbonnet being coming off an injury, I think Seattle will give him a chance to take the full load. I think he could do it. And I think he knows he's getting older. So if he doesn't get a chance to start soon, he's never going to get a chance to start again. And to sit through a season, get 2, 3 carries a game when you're really a pivotal point to that offense is disrespectful. So I think he just feels disrespected and it's time for him to move on. I think he's still got mad love for probably all his teammates, but with the staff, as far as the coaching staff, he's done.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, I don't think starting for him is the issue. I just think that when Dan Campbell took over play calling, his carries just went down. Like
Yep.
he just stopped using them. And then they
Phase them
hired
out.
the new OC who came from Arizona. I mean, that Arizona offense didn't really look, all that great. So I don't know how good of a OC he is.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I mean, you can make the argument that maybe Jared Goff might be the best quarterback he's worked with. But I mean, still, you gotta you had a two-headed monster in what Gibbs and Montgomery,
Yeah.
and I don't understand how you can't make that work with David Montgomery to
Well,
where it gets to this point where he wants out.
I would say one thing because there's one thing that I think might have gift and cursed with this. Um, and I'd have to look back at the numbers of throws versus rushes when Montgomery was getting, say, 10 plus carries. But the one thing I think I noticed looking back at the season when Dan Campbell took over, um, Montgomery got phased out, right?
Yeah.
But Jameson Williams got phased in because he was phased out before. So,
Well, I said this in real time. I said that Amon St. Brown injury ended up being a blessing in disguise because it showed them that James Williams could do more things besides
yeah,
just run a route. I mean,
yeah, he
one
gave
route.
Yep, he gave him the full route tree and found out he could run them all.
Mm.
But what I meant is to say this. I want, and we could deep dive on this another day. But I wonder if we looked into it, because just say figuratively speaking, the pass attempts went up from 30 a game to 38 a game, right? Um, it could be more of a product of wanting to get Jameson Williams involved and taking Montgomery's plays and kind of sending them over there and not changing Gibbs's plays, if that makes sense. So I kind of just want to know what he was averaging for attempts throwing before and after the Amon St. Brown injury because I feel like that's the game they unlocked him, like you said, right? So I
Yeah.
just wonder after that if they went a little bit more pass happy, and that's why Montgomery didn't get his touches.
Yeah, so I'm looking at his stats right now. Montgomery only had 158 carries last year, which was the lowest of his career.
They phased him out bad. It was some of those games I don't even think he got a touch. Most of those carries are probably the beginning of the season.
Yeah, before when the OC was calling plays.
He had a couple big games early in the season where I think he had like 20 carries or close to it.
Yeah, so
So
here's his final 5 games of the season. Against Dallas, 6 carries. Against the Rams, 7 carries. Against Pittsburgh, 4 carries. Against Minnesota, 10 carries, and then the last game of the season against Chicago, only 8 carries.
mm, I feel like and then you also got to look at this because if they was averaging say 26 rushes a game between the two, and all the games he's not getting carries, they're still averaging 26. It's just more like Gibbs getting 20 and you getting 6. Then they just phased you out flat out for
Yeah,
the.
actually, you can see it too if I pull up the full schedule. So, before so in the early in the season, he was getting like 15 carries a game. And then, like I said, once Dan Campbell took over play calling, it's going down to like 6, 4, 5.
Maybe they got into something, but I just say he phased them out. I think that he feels Gibbs more explosive and he wanted to use Gibbs more, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, Monty needs to get out of there. He'll have a way better career somewhere else. Detroit will regret it once he's out of there because I don't think Gibbs could handle a full load for a full season. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But the Lions, if they do trade him, hopefully get some defensive players back. That's what they really need is some defense. Their defense is what held them back the last two years.
Their defense and injuries on defense.
Yeah, that
So
too.
yeah, I mean I think 2 years ago they had 10 injuries in the playoffs out of their starting 11. This
No,
year,
and 2 years ago they had 15 guys on defense on IR.
yeah, but I think it was 10 starters
Oh
and then
yeah, yeah. And then
one.
last year
Yeah,
their entire secondary was injured.
yeah, yeah. And so they gotta clean that part up. But before I pass out on you, bro, I want to make sure everybody use the QR code, go on over, get some W Energy, which I'm about to fill my cup up. Use the code Mob Squad 508, get 10% off. Please smash the thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Comment. Follow us on X. The hashtags, or the at symbols are down below at Mob Squad 508 and at Inspector_Ant. Now, where else can they find us, bro?
All right, if you just want to listen to the audio, you can find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts.
Absolutely. Well, with that being said, we're gonna be dropping our draft picks 1 through 32. I don't know if we're gonna do a few picks a day or if we're gonna just drop the full bracket before the draft, but we will get that to you guys soon, men and women. But everybody have a blessed day. Wow.
Oh, I think you're talking about March Madness.
Now we gotta do March Madness too.
Yeah.
But yeah, y'all getting a March Madness too. Spill the beans. That's all right. We out.
All right, peace.